Let's see the example of transport system. In this transport system, there is a conveyor. This is a conveyor belt and it's attached to the motor. This is a conveyor motor. And we have one start switch and stop switch, S1 and S2, and S3 for detecting the object. So here on the conveyor belt, that object will come, S3 will detect the objects and it will give the information to the controller. So once the 5 object is detected, then we need to turn off the conveyor belt after 4 seconds. And this process will repeat until the start switch is there. Until you press this stop, this process will continue. Okay, so let's see the conditions to write a logic. First is, so once you press the start switch, that is S1, after 3 seconds you need to turn on the conveyor motor. So once the conveyor motor is running, once you get a feedback from the motor, S3 will start detecting the object. It will detect the object, and once the S3 is detected 5 objects, then after 4 seconds we need to turn off the motor, that is conveyor motor. We need to turn off. Okay. So this process will continue, okay, until the stop switch is pressed. Once the stop switch S2 is pressed, we need to stop the process. Okay. So this is the conditions to write a logic. Let's see in the software. So for this I am going to select the controller, that is 1760L12AWA. So after that, just open the circuit diagram. So we need a start and stop switch. So I am taking 2 connectors, and that start and stop is a push button. Okay, so I am going to take a latch here. Before that, let's give the comment for the contacts. So that is a start and this is a I2, means this is stop, push button. Okay, let's zoom it. And I'm going to take one memory because this is a push button. So I need to latch this. So I'm going to take one memory, MW1. So this I'm going to rename it as a start cycle. Let's connect this. Okay, so once the start cycle is done, we need to turn on my conveyor after 3 seconds. For that I am going to take the timer here to give the delay. So this is for the start delay. So this is, I am going to give the 3 second. So 3 second on delay. So once the timer output is there, okay, then we need to start the conveyor. So for that, take one output. So this is the conveyor motor. Once I get a confirmation of the conveyor motor, means I am going to take the contact of the Q01 and then I'll take I3. It's a I3 for a sensor. Okay, so once the sensor is counting, we need to connect the counter to count for 5 counts. So I am taking one counter here. So this is to count. And here in the parameter settings, set point I am going to give 5 because I need to count for 5 objects. Once the counter output is there, then I need to run one more timer to turn off the conveyor motor. Right? So here I am going to take the second timer for runtime down. Then I'll set this for 4 seconds. And once it is done, I'm going to restart the counter. So it's a reset. Take a reset of the counter, and the same time I need to reset my conveyor. So that is Q01. So here I am going to take the NC contact of the timer 2. So this address I'll change to 2 and a break contact. Sorry, this I will take it here in on top. Okay, so here I'll connect this one. Okay, so let's analyze this logic. Here once I turn on, the start cycle will on. Once the start cycle is there, okay, and then start delay, the timer will turn on for a 3 second. After 3 second, motor will turn on. So once the motor is on, so I3 it will sense for the objects. Once the object is sensing, after reaching 5 count, then you'll get this signal. So once it reaches a 5 count, it will start the second timer for turn off the conveyor. So this is for 4 seconds. After reaching 4 seconds, it will reset the counter, and then at same time it will reset the timer. Once it resets the timer, this conveyor motor also will get 0. So once it is 0, everything will reset it. Okay, and again the start delay means again the conveyor will start running. Okay, so if you press the stop, then this start cycle will become 0, means whole process will stop. Okay, because it's all the interlocked, it's all dependent on the previous outputs. So once this start cycle is not there, so once it is 0, then all the connectors and the coils will be resetted. Okay, let's see this in the simulation. So turn on the simulation and give run. And before testing, I need to set this I1 and I2 for a push button, and also I3 I am going to take as a push button. Okay, so let's go to the display buttons. Okay, so if you want to see in the display button, you can see, but now I am going to show you in the circuit diagram itself. Let's analyze this. Okay, so once I give the start signal, okay, you can see start cycle is there. Now the timer is running. After the for 3 seconds, your conveyor will on. So once it is on, okay, sorry, here I didn't change the address. Sorry, we'll go to the circuit diagram. So this you have to change to the timer 2, T2. Okay, so go to the simulation and give run. Let's give the start signal. Now the start cycle is on. So if you press the stop switch, the start cycle will be set to 0. So once you give the start signal, it will on. Now the timer is running. After that 3 seconds, your conveyor will run. The motor is running, conveyor motor. Now if you start giving the signal at I3. Okay, so this is a sensor, it will start detecting. So once it detects the 5 objects, okay, so you can see after detecting 5 objects, T2 will turn on. So after that, it will reset the motor. After again 3 seconds, it will turn on. Okay, so this process will be continuous until you stop the process. Once you stop the process, everything will be reset to 0. Okay, so I'll show you the timing now. So I'll give a starter. So let's take the timer. So you can see it's running and it reaches a 3 seconds. After that only you are getting the conveyor motor output. Let's go to the counter. So this is the counter. I3. Once you press this I3, it will start detecting the objects. Once it reaches the 5, then you can see here this timer will run. Once it reaches the 4 second, automatically this conveyor motor will stop for 4 second. After 4 second, and again it will start because of the start cycle. Okay, so until you press the stop, it will be in the repeating.